Hello, I'm Chip Hare, the Athletic Director for Piqua City Schools, and with me today is our head football coach, chief for year 23, Bill Nees, as we're going into the 2016 football season. And Coach, you can tell it's the most, probably what most would say, the most exciting time of the year. The school year is beginning here in a few weeks. Football practice has been going on for you for the whole summer, but officially here for a couple of weeks. We just had our first scrimmage. The helmets are starting to clash a little bit. The shoulder pads are starting to crack. It's that time of year once again.
Oh, definitely, and we've put a great summer together. I think I've said it on a couple different TV programs that have come in here and interviewed. I think that our chemistry this year is outstanding. Our kids always work hard. That's a sign of the Piqua kids. It has been for a long time. But I think our chemistry is something special this year. So if we can maintain our depth and we can maintain moving forward as we have been so far this summer, we're looking forward to an outstanding, exciting season.
Coach, we're going to talk a little bit about the 2015 campaign here, but let's rewind a little bit for our viewers as we get ready for the football season upcoming. Let's talk a little bit about last year. Let's just recap last year. We finished 5-5, but we had a strong start, or excuse me, a strong finish there. Actually had a strong start as well, had a strong finish. Going into what we call the off season, that's really good for momentum, and it helps our kids get that confidence.
I think it does. I think last year in 2014 we played a relatively rough schedule, as we normally do, and we lost 3 games that we were right in there, and we had 2 games that we felt we didn't put our best foot forward, and we've kind of got it taken to us a little bit there. And so now we come back to this season. It's going to be the exact same schedule, but we've got a lot of kids back. We're a year older. Some of those teams that were able to get up on us have graduated some people, so we think with our hard work and everything involved, we should be able to get back into that thing.
2014 schedule, we finished 5-5. Arguably, we were just a couple points away from making Week 11. We talk a lot about the playoffs. It's been a few years since we've been in that situation, and our tradition, our history speaks to the playoffs. They see that on our banner on the press boxes with the years that we've been in the playoffs. Obviously, we won the state championship. How much does that motivate our kids to try to not just get to the playoffs, but be a statement team, a team that people like to talk about from years to come?
I think it's vital. I don't know how it is at other schools, but around here, that's the overhanging thing of everything we do. We always want to have the best team we can have, and we really believe with the schedule we have, with some of the things we do in the off season, some of the work and preparation we put in, that if we can get into the playoffs, then we got a chance to advance deep. But a lot of times the hard part for us is getting into the playoffs, and hopefully we'll be able to get back into that this year.
Well, let's talk a little about the off season and where we are with playoffs, because things have changed for our viewers. The last several years we have been in Division II, which there are 7 divisions in the Ohio High School Athletic Association's football side. We are Division II. We were Division I for many years in the 80s and 90s, and then they broke it down and we went to Division II. Of course, won the 2006 state championship. We just recently learned this past summer that because of enrollment, and it's all based on enrollment of boys, we moved down to Division III. Within the last week, we just got word from the state that they are reviewing that once again because of enrollment numbers. So we really don't know where we're going to be. We could be Division II, we could be Division III, because we're right on that line. From your perspective, we've talked about, does it really matter Division II or III? Last year, Division III was probably tougher than Division II, depending upon the year. So for our viewers, how does that really, it doesn't impact what we do, but how does that impact in terms of perspective of playoffs?
I think just there's a couple things that it does. Number one, I think once you get in, I believe it's anybody's game. But the Division II and Division III and even Division I aspect is more almost about on a yearly basis whether or not you can get in based on the numbers. I think what people fail to realize sometimes is the way the playoffs are now. It's an average points per week rather than just your total points. So it used to be if you beat a team that was big, that had wins. You could carry that throughout. Now it's just a matter of getting wins, period. So that's why you see a lot of teams having trouble scheduling, because people just want to get those wins. And I think it all starts off with that. You want to get your wins, and then it's playoffs are in the back of your mind. It's not like it's hammered every day, but at some point, you get down and you start looking at them and you say, okay, if we do this, and I really think it's a great motivator. I think it starts to pull those kids in now, that you can say, hey, we're in position, we're in fourth, we're in fifth, we're in first, and we use that as a great motivator for us.
Well, certainly whether Division II or Division III, we're certainly going to be interested in competing hard to get into Week 11, and we'll certainly keep people apprised of where we are, and they'll probably see that in the paper. We should remind people, when we won the state championship in 2006, we were the 8th seed out of 8 in our region. So, as you said, Coach, anything can happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as you go around, one year, if people remember, when we were in Division I, we finished 8-2, but we were first in our region. And then, the year we won the state championship, we barely made it in. And then also the first time we went up to Massillon, we had got beat by Brother Rice in the second or third game of the season. So we were, a little bit below. And there we were high enough, though, to host a home game.
Well, we will look forward to Week 11 later on. Let's talk about Week 1, because we're only a couple weeks away from, and what you said, we have the same exact schedules we had last year. This year we go up to Toledo St. John's. Our non-league schedule will include Toledo St. John's. It also includes Week 2 with hosting Urbana, and then also Lima, before we get into the GWalk schedule. Let's talk a little bit about our 3 games who are non-leagues. What can the Piqua fans expect?
Well, this is going to be a big-time game at Toledo St. John's. We've been counting on this right now as we're taping. We got 16 days before we go up there, and it's going to be big for a number of reasons. St. John's has a great veteran team back. St. John's, the junior class of Toledo St. John's, were the track champions when they were freshmen. So this is, for a talent reason, they're a big physical team. So that's going to be number one. Number two, it's going to be a long ride. It's going to be some challenges with the traffic, going to be some challenges with, let's get our school day done, let's get some food, let's get relaxed, get on a bus and get up there. So we've got a little bit of that. We did purposely go to Bowling Green this summer in a passing scrimmage to kind of get that trip a little bit under our belts. So we're able to do that. But I think all those factors are going to be involved in St. John's, and then Urbana's, has been a great playoff program for a number of years. And it's one of the great schools from around the Champaign, Miami County area, and the great athletes. So they're wide open offense, and they've got a new coach this year, so it'll be a little of the unknown. And then, of course, Lima Senior's been, one of the most improved football teams we've seen in a long time around here, and we were unfortunately on the losing end of a game last year up at Lima Stadium, so we've got them coming down here. So those 3 games are really going to be, at the end of those 3 games, we're going to have a pretty good idea of who we are.
Well, it should be noted that Toledo St. John's and Lima really are in the same league, and obviously they're two very good teams. We played Toledo St. John's last year and won. It was, in fact, we found ourselves trailing in the first half, came back in the second half, and really had a great second half. And I'm sure they're going to be reared and ready to go, but I know that we're going to go up there as prepared as anybody. We get into weeks 4 and 5. It's our crossover games. They don't count for our division, but they are league crossover games. We go to Northmont, and then we host Fairborn. Again, 2 tests that should test the Indians and put us in a good situation, but we should know where we are before we get into division play.
Yeah, once we get those 3 games over with them, we're kind of looking at those 3, in a block, and then we've got the big trip down to Northmont. Northmont's one of the vastly improved Division I teams. We got a new coach this year, our former assistant coach Tony Broering, and then Roy Toby is one of the great coaches down in this area again. In Fairborn, it just seems like about every 3 or 4 years, Fairborn's got a great group that comes in, and they're going to make a splash. This is that year for Fairborn, so Fairborn's looking forward to some big things. So before we even get into the GWalk, we've got those 5 hurdles that we got to deal with first.
Good first test 5 first 5 games are good tests before we get into division play. And it should be noted as well, Northmont, we've had a long-standing rivalry with him, great games through the years, and as you mentioned, Tony being the coach, that will be one for the ages. We get into now week 6, which is division play. We get into Vandalia Butler. We host them here. Last year was one of those games where it went back and forth. Unfortunately, we were up, I believe, 2 touchdowns at one point late in the fourth quarter. We on paper, a lot of people say, hey, the Indians should be the team or the team to beat in the division. Of course, you've got to get it done on the field first, but Vandalia Butler is going to be right on the heels of us.
I think so, and you know, that last year was a rare game for the Indians that we had a lead going into the fourth quarter and we lost a lead. Normally when we're in that position, we're able to maintain that lead, you know, through some conditioning and through things along those lines. So that was very uncharacteristic for us, and that's something that's left a bad taste in our mouth, as well as the Greenville game. Also, Greenville came down here ready to play football, and we just couldn't answer a couple things they did. So those 2 games back to back before we get into our rival games, you know, with Sydney and with Troy, I think those 2 games back to back were both games that we really felt that, you know, that was uncharacteristic of how we played. And of course, you got to remember one thing, that there's a team out there that hasn't lost in 6 years in the GWAC North, and the last team that beat them was in fact the Piqua Indians. So we've got to get a hold of Trotwood early too. So we're looking forward to that encounter also. Yeah,
we talk about Greenville again, that with their returning quarterback, they're going to be again a much improved program. They're going to be good again this year. Obviously, Trotwood, when we look at Trotwood, you said a very staggering statistic. Undefeated for 6 years in the GWAC North. That's quite a statistic. Obviously, they've made a run to the state. They won a state championship. They've been in the state finals a few times. Last year, I think they got to the state semifinals. They've had a change in coaches, so they've had a change of guard. Talk about our kids and mentality of when we go down, we play them. You and I had a conversation the other day about an edge and not getting intimidated. And when you walk into having to play at Trotwood, you have to have a certain mindset as a football team.
I think you do, and I think our kids are great at that. I don't know that our kids have ever been in a situation where they're intimidated by anybody they play. I think sometimes that we get out quick, and a team might be a little faster than us, a team might be a little stronger than us, and be able to run the football on us, depending on what the style of play it is. But I think our kids go in there with an idea that they're going to be able to prepare. I very rarely, if not at all, have ever felt that our players are not prepared, both mentally and physically, to take on a challenge.
Well, of course, we wrap up week 9 and 10 with hosting the Jackets here in our final home game, and then we go down to Troy to take on the Trojans. And I see you have the Great American Rivalry Series hat on. That has been not only a great rivalry here in the state of Ohio, but it's nationally recognized as one of the top rivalries in the United States of America. Again, Great American Rivalry Series will highlight that game as part of the top games in the country. For our kids, a great way to end the season and hopefully get a little momentum in as we talk about week 11.
It is, and it's another one of those things that's very, very much of a privilege to be able to play in that game, and all the things that go with the Piqua Troy game. As a matter of fact, there's a book coming out. David Fong from Troy wrote a book about the Piqua Troy rivalry, and I think that's going to be out in September. So we'll give David a plug on that on the book. So it's not often you get to play in a rivalry where you get this kind of publicity. You get the publicity of the national rivalry, and also somebody writes a book about the rivalry.
Well, in that book, actually, we'll give him another plug. We are actually going to sell those books here at the Spirit Store. The Piqua Troy rivalry, one of the great ones in the state and, of course, the country. Let's talk a little bit, Coach, about some of our players and some of our key players. Obviously, we talk about a lot of returners, some seniors. Who are some people that our fans should be watching for? As we all have a lot of. Obviously, it's a team game. There's probably no more of a team game in football than when you have 11 guys on each side of the ball. But who are some of the people that we should keep our eyes out on is going to help the Indians this year?
Well, I want to start off generally. I think one of the positions, and I'm going to talk maybe a little bit about position groups, but one of the position groups that we're really excited about this year, and we thought we struggled last year, is our offensive line. And we are really jacked up about our offensive line. They're going to be led by two seniors, Noah McGill and Cam Hill, as our bookend tackles. And then we've got some younger guys that play in the middle. We're going to have a couple sophomores in there at guard, and then, of course, Anthony Grunkelmeyer's a returning starter in there. So we really feel like those guys have gelled. Rupert Dela Cruz has been outstanding all summer at quarterback. He's also been outstanding in our first scrimmage, so we're excited about what he can do at quarterback. Really been a lot more consistent than he has been. And our ground game is going to be opening up. We got three very good running backs. Darian Tips Clemens, obviously back from last year. We got Alan Shrub, and we got Elijah Hudson. And if anybody had a chance to see our scrimmage on Tuesday, all three of those guys had some nice runs. When you go out to our wide receivers, we have the two big guys out there. We got Lyman and we got Bachman both out there, which are 3-year starters, both sides. Nash Black and Nate Monin play tight end for us, so we have the ability to play 2 backs, 1 backs, 2 tight ends, 4 receivers, 3 receivers, etc. So we've got offensively, we got maybe about 17, 18 guys are going to contribute on offense.
Well, when you look at our offense, and let's just talk about the scrimmage a little bit. We played Tecumseh yesterday. Again, Tecumseh was a playoff team last year and has perennially been a playoff team in the league that they play in. We handled them pretty well. Offensively, we moved the ball pretty well. As you said, Rupert was patient. We got some things going on with our receivers and tight end. And Darian Tips Clemens, obviously coming back, he was a big part of our success. But overall, we have a lot of weapons. We're just not one-dimensional.
I don't think we are. I think we're going to have that ability to run with 2 or 3, big backs. There are fast backs. We've got, like I said, we've got the tight end sets. We can put a couple of those guys up there if we're going to get a lot of blitzing. We've got 2 tall receivers we can get the ball out to. So I think overall we're going to be a fairly balanced offense and not have to be as predictable as saying, okay, if it's this situation, we're going to have to do this. We got to be able to keep defenses a little bit, on their heels.
Well, the staple of the program through when people talk about Piqua football, and they look at through the years of not just your tenure as coach, but even before and Steve Magneto, and you can even go beyond that, people always talk about the defense of the Piqua Indians. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball.
Well, I think, again, when you look at what we've done over the offseason, I think our defense is really strong in all 3 phases of it, meaning the back end of our defense, where we've got Alex Nees and Andrew Lee, both 3-year starters coming back, and then we've got Dylan Cole, who's a 2-year starter, and then we're fortunate enough to get Hunter Hawk back from his knee injury, and he's full speed. So we got 4 guys back there that can fly, come up, and hit you. So we're really good on the back end. I think we're really good on the front end. Tristan Cox has just been a monster up there at the front end, and then you bookend, Nate Monin over on one side, and you flank him with Nash Black, who, for our fans that weren't at the scrimmage, we lost our defensive end, Jack Smeezing, and Nash has taken his place. And we're going to get a report on how long Jack's going to be out and, what's going to happen with him. But Nash is going to man that spot. And then we've got a young sophomore, Derek Height, and Ben Bynum working in the middle. So we're, on the back and on the front, we think we're really strong. And then you look at those linebackers, and I really believe we might be as strong at linebacker as we've been in a long time. Jarrett Toops is a 3-year starter. He's going to anchor at the middle. We've got Ty Carnes, who's going to play on one side, and he's kind of our guy that switches back and forth between middle and inside linebacker. And then on the outside, we've got a young kid out there that's going to be a really surprise to a lot of the people, because this kid can play Jack's younger brother, Ben Smeezing. And on the other side, Darian and Elijah, our 2 running backs, are going to probably split that position depending on who's carrying the ball a lot. So I think those linebackers are as athletic, and you really need to have some athletic ability, because we have to start covering some people, from inside out, so to speak. And I think those guys are going to give us a great edge.
Well, certainly, as you name those names, those people are very familiar with those last names that they've had either brothers or they've had family members through the years that have played here at Piqua. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we get it done on the defensive end. As always, that's been good. But the one person that stood out yesterday at the scrimmage, and I think he's going to continue to get better, and he was a talk in the stands yesterday, and that was Tristan Cox, and just his presence on the line. Our defensive line before we can get to the secondary, is pretty strong up front. And certainly missing Jack in his leadership is going to, until we find out where we are. But we've got a pretty strong defensive line. I
think we do, and I think I like the style of which they play. They play with a lot of reckless abandon, and that's over the years when we've had our great defensive linemen and we've had our great defenses. Over the years, we've always had that group of 4 guys that could just get up there, put their hand down, get their butt up, and go, and just play, wreck some schemes, and that's what these 4 can do. And actually, we got a couple other guys, that back up within that realm. A couple seniors, a couple, Nathan Hampton's going to get a chance to get in there and play a little bit. We got some other people, some newer faces that are going to get in there. And so we've got a group that can get in there and just wreck those schemes and let those linebackers fly to the play. And like I said, at the back end, our secondary can really cover some ground.
Well, certainly, Coach, we're looking forward to a great year here at Piqua. We move into the 2015 campaign with a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of optimism for what we believe we're going to be able to do, and not just in terms of wins, but being able to, we've got good young people on this team, and I think that should be noted. It's easy to talk about their skill level, but we've got some great leaders who are great young men and for this community.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that people have heard me say when they talk about, and I get a lot of people ask me, how's the team looking, because they're very interested in sports and in football in Piqua, and everybody keeps hearing me say something about that chemistry, and that's one of the first things I said when we started this, the interview, and that is, we walk in here, I'm happy to see everybody. I'm happy to see everybody, and sometimes it's not always the case, but I'm happy to see every person here. We've got great attendance, got great punctuality. Everybody just knows how to do the right thing all the time, and they know how to do the right thing all the time and they don't have to have somebody breathing down their neck all the time. And I don't know if that's a sense of maturity. I know that we've probably got about 10, 11 guys that have been 3-year starters for us, and I think their leadership and some of the juniors who have been 2-year starters, we've got a lot of kids that have a lot of experience under their belts. And we've seen some highs and we've seen some lows over the last 2 years. And hopefully now we'll be able to, knock those lows off a little bit and keep them highs a little bit higher.
Well, I think it would be noted before we close, we should talk about staying healthy. We talk about our team and how solid we are, and you named about 20, 25 guys who really are probably going to be a strong contribution to our teams and successes this year. The key to staying healthy. We've already run into a couple little bangs with Colton, and it looks like we're going to be able to get him back here in a few weeks with some strong, intense therapy. We talked about Jack sneezing, but really staying healthy is really a big key to this team.
It is, and not only is it a big key, it's also from a team morale standpoint. I know that when you get up into the pros and you get up into the bigger colleges, they like to use the expression, when next man up, next man up. And these guys don't spend as much time together as we do. We spend almost the whole year together in the weight room, and when these kids have grown up with one another. Right. And you lose one of your guys, and it's not as easy. Yeah, you can put the next guy in and get the next guy up, but you still lost a pretty good buddy and you lost a pretty good friend, and you feel bad one way or the other. So I think that's just a little bit different, but we do have to continue to develop depth, and that's one of the things that we've tried to do throughout the summer, and we've gone a little bit longer practice. Some of the former players would be surprised that we stay out maybe a little longer than what we normally do, and I think we're trying to develop just a little bit more depth so we can get those kids ready in case something like that happens. You got to have a plan for everything.
Well, Piqua's a special place, and one of the next people that we're going to bring on is special to Piqua in a lot of ways. He's one of Piqua's own. That's Justin Hem. We're bringing him back. He's a new coach for us as an assistant. He was, of course, one of the all-time great quarterbacks, and was the quarterback that led our 2006 state championship team. In fact, we've kind of joked with him. We haven't made the playoffs since 2007 when he was a senior, so we had to bring him back to get us back to week 11.
That's good. Hopefully, hopefully that works out. He was a great guy for us, and he's one of those guys that you were happy to see when he was there. He's a great competitor. He's the leading passer in the history of Piqua. I think he's the 4th leading rusher in the history of Piqua. And he's got some stats. He went over in the senior year and played defense for us, and was talented in virtually everything he did. and the kids have really gravitated to him well. I mean, when you bring the quarterback to the state championship team, people listen. He's E.F. Hutton, and people listen to what he says, and he's still young enough that he can demonstrate it pretty well too. So we're very fortunate we're able to get him, and I know he's going to do a great job in the classroom. He's already been over there getting ready for school and getting everything set there. So that's the kind of guy he is. He wants to excel in the classroom, and he also wants to excel on the football field.
Well, before we bring Justin on, Coach, we certainly want to wish you luck, and we wish the Indians luck. I think it's going to be a great year, not just for Piqua Indian football, but I think for the community of Piqua, because when Piqua football does well, the community rallies right behind them, and I know there's going to be a lot of excited people, and this stadium isn't going to be quiet here in a few weeks.
Sounds good. We're ready to go.
We'll be back talking to Coach Justin Hem when we return. Hi, this is Chip Hare, Athletic Director again for Piqua City Schools, and we are here previewing the 2015 Piqua Indians on the gridiron, and with me is Coach Justin Hem. Our Piqua viewers will remember you as player Justin Hem. Justin was the quarterback on our 2006 state football championship team, and of course was a senior in the last time the Indians has made the playoffs in week 11 in 2007. Justin, first of all, welcome back to Piqua. We're certainly glad to have you a part of our coaching staff and having you back in the community of Piqua.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be back. Wonderful opportunity to come back here and rejoin the Indians.
Before we go back and before we talk about the 2015 campaign, let's go back in time for you. The last time you were here in this stadium, your role was a player. You were playing on Friday nights. You were running out the tunnel. What was that experience like for you? Obviously, you did some great things. You're one of the leading rushers in school history. You've got several records. What was that experience like for you just to be a part of that program as a player?
Yeah, the opportunity to play here at Piqua is one of a kind. You don't have many high school programs that have these type of facilities, these coaches. So the experience and the knowledge that you gain playing with these coaches is, one of a kind. You don't get that much other places. So, it's going on 10 years now since state championship. So it seems a lot sooner than it was. But it's just a wonderful opportunity to be back here.
Well, we joked with Coach Nees, we brought it up in his segment that, hey, we haven't been back to week 11 since 2007, so we had to bring you back to help to get the Indians over the top. So we talk about your transition from coach or player to coach. Tell us a little bit about your background as to, since you've left Piqua, what have you been doing and now transitioning into your role as a coach and what your mindset is in terms of that?
Yeah, upon graduating here at Piqua, I went to Ball State University, played a year there for Brady Hoke, and he ended up going to San Diego State, and I transferred. I went up to school in Adrian, Michigan, played 4 years at Adrian College. Another great opportunity, great experience, learned a lot. But then since then, the past 2 years, I've been in Columbus working, teaching, and kind of had a little step away from football, got to experience a different aspect of it, which was kind of a new thing for me, something I haven't really done since I've been playing, since, enjoying Saturdays, watching college football, enjoying Sundays, watching NFL football. But, happy to be back in it, and the team looks great, and, very excited for this upcoming season.
Justin, as your position, you'll be coaching the defensive backs, and talk a little bit about your positioning, coaching, and what your perspective is coming in, because you're just coming in here the last few weeks. So, unfortunately, you've not been with them since January and February, and so on and so forth. So, a little bit about you trying to probably get caught up with what Coach Nees wants from a coaching perspective, but also making sure that you're giving the information and coaching those kids up like they need to be coached.
Yeah, it starts with me. I need to understand what Coach Nees expects and the expectations out of the defensive backs. But it's been wonderful for me coming into a defensive back group that's very veterans. You guys got like Al Nees, D. Cole, Andrew Lee, guys that's been back there and have experience back there. So that's made my transition a little easier on me, and those guys can also help with the team and coaching the younger guys.
Justin, we're now getting ready for the 2015 campaign, and For you, it's a new schedule. For us, it's the same schedule that we had last year. We get ready to go to, we've got 2 more scrimmages, which should get us ready for what I think is going to be a very challenging schedule, but a schedule that we think that we can do very well in.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what can you bring to it? What do you bring to the coaching staff? Obviously, you're young, you're youthful, you're energetic. You've been on both sides of the ball, or both sides of the fence, I should say, as a coach, and as a player, now a coach.
Yeah, I hope to just be able to share experiences that I've had, situations that I've encountered, and how I've dealt with it, and what I've learned through my experiences, not only playing here at Piqua, but also at the collegiate level. And just sharing those experiences with the kids, teaching them fundamentals, situations, anything that I can share my knowledge with the kids, I hope to, give them.
Coach Nees talked about your obvious background as a player, but you're also going to be a teacher for Piqua City Schools. You're going to be teaching social studies. We expect great things from you in the classroom as well as being a coach. So talk a little about your teacher duties. In fact, I had to pull you out of the classroom for this interview.
This year I will be teaching a couple courses: sociology, government, history of rock and roll, and then second semester I also have minority studies. So I have more semester-long classes, but I'm very excited to be in there. Some very interesting, fun topics to teach with these kids.
I'm sure it'll be a little strange being a teacher and wearing a collared shirt and maybe even a tie and not walking the hallways as a student. I'm sure that first week will be a little strange.
Yeah, it'll be different. There'll be some flashbacks, definitely some memories, but again, this opportunity was one of a kind, and I couldn't ask for anything better than be back here.
Well, I can tell you Piqua City Schools is excited to have you, first A, as a teacher, and then B, as a coach, and we look forward to great things from you as your career gets started here at Piqua.
I appreciate it, Chip. Thank you.
We are looking forward to, again, a great season of football here in the Alexander Stadium, and also for our Piqua Indians as they go on the road. Great things for a program that is rich in history, and this year we are looking forward to getting back to Week 11, and we need your help. We need your help to get there. We start the season on Friday, August 28th, when we travel to Toledo St. John's, and the first home game will be on Friday, September 4th, against Urbana. So please make sure you get your tickets. You can call the athletic department and get your tickets, either season tickets, or you can buy them individually. We look forward to a great year. Justin, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And we look forward to a great year for Piqua Athletics. And there are 3 important words that we say: we are Piqua.